Hello and welcome back to another episode of Game Chat. Today I have Elite here with me, and last episode, I'll quickly shout out Instagram at Game Chat Pod. Check out the links to watch us there in the social. But me and Anthony, previous episode, we made a video, just quick video of reviewing the Batman. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. And today I have Elite with me, and he would like to give his review, and me and him will go more in depth into the Batman. So Elite, what'd you
Yes.
think of the movie?
Um, I was surprisingly overwhelmed. I thought it was a very, very, very good movie. Um, I went into it, I had to take Anthony's advice because Anthony was the first one to see it of all of us. And I probably had the most preconceived notions of anybody. And he said, "Hey, let it stand on its own, blah, blah, blah." And so I did that. And so I get to the movies. I didn't realize it was a 3-hour movie, which was like, gosh, that was long. But all said and done, it literally felt like I was there like an hour and a half. It was so quick moving. It was just a really, really good movie. The story was really good. I went and saw it with my daughter. The only complaint that we had was I don't think it stopped raining at all in the movie. I think the only scene where there was no rain was actually at the end after I don't spoilers ahead when they're leaving the cemetery and they both go different ways. I think it's the only time it wasn't raining in the whole movie.
Yeah, so we'll make this spoiler. This will be spoilers ahead. So if you haven't seen it, stop watching, and then maybe come back to this after you've seen it. But yeah, I saw that. I was watching a video, and that's the thing. Like they kind of set up because Gotham has always been a rainy place, but um Matt Reeves wanted to make it like David Fincher's Seven, where every time they were outside or there was an exterior shot, it was always raining.
Okay.
And then not only that, like it built into the seawall, like because the rain
Yeah,
is
yeah,
building
yeah.
up
Okay.
the water,
Except the
so that when the
last
seawall,
scene in Seven, there was
yeah,
no rain either
hmm
at the reveal.
I don't know, but you know what I mean. There was a lot of rain and stuff.
But it's interesting you say that. And then the one other thing I thought too was interesting was I know that Robert Pattinson refused to bulk up for the role. He said that he wanted to play it a certain way, like almost like a slimmer Batman. And it was interesting when he was wearing the bat suit, he looked kind of buff. But as soon as he
Hmm.
was out of the couple scenes where he was out of it, he looked like a scrawny little goth kid. Like I hated
Hmm.
his haircut. I hated the look he had.
Yeah, he could use a trim a little bit.
And it was like and in fact,
I
my
need a
daughter
trim.
said the only crime that was committed in that movie was the haircut he had. And so the other thing I thought was kind of interesting was I've never seen Batman portrayed as antisocial Batman. Like the way he portrayed him, like he didn't really want to have anything to do with the business. He didn't really want to have anything to do with people. He was just so hyper focused. Like remember that like scene where he kind of like saw the sun for the first time in a couple days apparently, or like he's walking around with sunglasses. He just
Mhm.
was. He said he was becoming nocturnal. I really like the detail of the diaries of keeping track of every date of what was going on and what he did. I thought that was really neat. Um, and huge shocker. I personally think that was the coolest Batmobile they've had in a long time. That
Mhm.
Batmobile and that one scene where it came through the fire, I was like, "Oh my god, that was pretty awesome." It was pretty awesome. I think it was a if I had to give it like it's definitely a 2 thumbs up. Like I know that like Anthony said like a 9.6. I have a hard time with those numbers. It's definitely a high number. Um,
Mhm.
I walk away from it kind of almost as I did the first time I saw The Dark Knight. Um, Dark Knight, I thought was the first Batman movie they ever really got right, and I think that they did really, really good. And leading into the Court of Owls, like I'm looking forward to the next one, and looking forward how they go down that road. Introduction of their Joker, which is always kind of a little tricky. Um, I could have. I guess if I had want to critique and pick it apart, I wasn't overly impressed with Catwoman. Like I thought she was a little too aggressive as a Catwoman. Like I just didn't think she wasn't kind of what I portrayed throughout the history of Batman with Catwoman, but it played well in their story,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, you bring up, you know, that's one thing I critiqued with um in in our last episode was I said that I feel as if that like Bruce Wayne and Batman, like it sounds weird, and it said like when told Anthony, but like they're the same person. I'm like they act exactly the same, and if you're gonna, do this thing where like we're two different people, you can't be acting the same. And
Right,
that's why I felt like because I'm like, oh, I told Anthony, I'm like, well, Batman, he's been classically portrayed as like billionaire playboy. He's got like women wrapped around his arm. He's going to parties, like he's a socialite.
right.
And then, but like, this is year two. Maybe he's like, you know what, like, I'm still experimenting with it. So maybe like I got to be more a people person.
But it's interesting. Is I was kind of like I was saying before in pre-production with us. It kind of took me down a rabbit hole where I started watching some of the other Batmans again, so I could have this talk again. And I remember Alfred in the Batman cartoon, the very first episode of the Batman cartoon, um, Bats in the Belfry. There was a scene where Alfred whips out his season tickets to go see the Gotham. I forget what the basketball team was called, but their Gotham basketball team. And he said, if you want to keep up your appearances and stay under the radar, sometimes you have to be above the radar. And so I
Mhm,
kind of feel like, how could he be? That was the whole idea of being the Playboy billionaire, was that, oh my God, this guy doesn't care about anything other than having fun. How could he ever
mhm,
be the Batman? You know what I'm saying? And now apparently he's just that morose guy that just wants to change vengeance, He's all about vengeance,
mhm,
and maybe he could be the
mhm. Yeah. One thing One thing I did definitely love that they did with this film, and they kinda didn't do with, like, the others, well, first of all, number 1, I haven't seen this since the Michael Keaton era, but they made Gotham feel like Gotham, and
Batman.
I told that to Anthony in the last episode. I said, um, like, Dark Knight, I kinda got, like, New York, Chicago skyline,
Yeah.
but where this one felt like Gotham, you know what I mean?
So you're absolutely right, because that's exactly kind of what I said too. Was I whispered to Anna, the Dark Knight, if you remember the Dark Knight series. So Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises, or Dark Knight Returns, whatever it was called.
Mhm,
Every one of those was filmed in a different location. So, like, The Dark Knight was filmed in Chicago. The Dark Knight Rises was filmed in Pittsburgh. And then I forget where they filmed Batman. Oh, Vancouver is where Batman Begins was filmed.
mhm,
The cool thing, I looked up the film location of this because I thought the exact same thing. It looked like old world Gotham. They filmed this in London, Scotland, and England.
yeah, yeah, that's what I liked about Gotham in the comics is it has Gothic architecture,
Right.
and that's where
And
you'd
it
go for Gothic
and
architecture.
it looked very old world, you know? And
Mhm,
I thought, oh, that was really cool. Even though they had like the scene that looked like Madison Square Gardens, the round building, they kind of made one building look like MSG, because we all know Gotham's supposed to be New York City.
mhm,
But it's literally, when you looked at it, I was like, wow, they did a really great job of that. They did a
mhm.
really great job with filming of that movie and the shots. I have to say,
Yeah, Paul Dano, yeah.
Paul Dano, oh my freaking word. Best reveal of a Riddler ever. Forget the corny green costume. Like, I literally was like, the whole time, like, when I finally saw him turn around, that's not the person I didn't look at anything going into this because I totally want to go in open mind. So I didn't even know, other than Robert, I didn't know who was
Yeah,
playing characters. And I was like, oh my God, that corny guy. And literally, he knocked it out of the park. Like, literally, so to me, it's always been the gold standard of supervillains. Like, when you look at the ultra villains, Heath Ledger is the greatest Joker ever. In my opinion, he played the greatest role ever. in a Batman series. Paul Dano literally is right up there. The way he portrayed the Riddler is right up
Mhm.
there with how Heath Ledger played the Joker. It was that good, and you really felt like you were looking at like a mind of somebody that was twisted. Like he played it so good. Like the scene. Like I'll never forget the like the scene. I was like, oh my god, oh my god. So remember Batman was looking at his board and he saw a picture of little Riddler. They're not
Mhm.
even calling him Edward Nigma right now. He has like two names. You don't even know he's Enigma yet. So like literally. They had a picture of him and he's looking down at Bruce Wayne at the orphanage, et cetera, so forth. And so Batman, Bruce Wayne is thinking, okay, he figured out it's me. And then he goes and sees him at Arkham, and he goes, Bruce Wayne, Bruce. And then all of a sudden, he's like, it's the one we didn't get, the one we didn't get.
Yeah.
And then it clicks in Batman's head. Oh, he doesn't know.
Yeah.
And he thought they were like, oh my god, that role was that scene was just like perfect, perfect.
Mhm.
And it was just like it was a really, really amazingly good movie. And then I was watching something on YouTube, and then I started to think about it after the fact. Do you know there's only 3 or 4 scenes in that whole movie where Pattinson is not in costume of as Batman? He's
Yeah.
hardly ever shown as Bruce Wayne,
Mhm.
and if he is, he's wearing like the bandana on a bike, but hardly ever like just like there's the funeral scene.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, yeah,
the
that's
scene
what I was telling Anthony was I'm like, I kinda wish they would put more Bruce Wayne in it that, like, we only got funeral scene and, like, another scene, like,
where he took the
he was
cowl
in his
off,
home. Yeah.
at the end of the day, like the very beginning where he was writing in the diary. But I
Mhm.
wonder if you're going to see that in the next one more. Like, I think you really like. I thought it was really like a great idea. Like they didn't like relaunch the whole series. Like they didn't get in
Mhm.
the whole Thomas Wayne, Martha Wayne murder, how it happened, how he became Batman. I loved how the fact they came off right after year one. It's year two. He's been doing this for a minute. He already has a reputation around town. People are already kind of scared of him.
Going back to what you said about Riddler, yeah, they definitely based this off of the Hush comics where Riddler acts as the Hush, and he's manipulate this whole thing. But I love, I think this is the only time they've ever. I think like they dabbled it in Michael Keaton a little bit, but they made Batman like a myth. Like every time you saw a dark alley, you're like, "Is he
Yeah.
here? Is that him?" And they're like, "Stop what you're doing!" Like, and that's what you saw. Like the dude who robbed the grocery store, he just looked at the dark hallway and got scared. You know what I mean?
And he
And
tried to
until
hail the
finally it's
taxi.
revealed, yeah. Until finally it's revealed on the train station.
And it was great. Like the scene too was like a couple. I think it was a couple. Maybe it was two. Maybe it was 3 times. You saw the dark alley, or you saw the dark whatever, and then you heard those coof, 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 like the footsteps coming,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden, choo, he's there. And
Yeah.
I also thought something that was really cool was remember when he had the batarang, and
Mhm.
the logo was the batarang. Remember he
Yeah,
like
I like
cut the
that
thing
too.
and he like clicked it back on his chest. I was like, yeah, that would make
Mhm.
perfect sense. If you got to carry this darn thing around, why not have it like right there, like a magnetic or
Yeah.
whatever, however it clicks in there? I was like, that was a pretty good idea. So
Mhm. So, listeners, Anthony has joined us now, and I was just telling
What's going on,
Anthony, what do
guys?
you think? Because we're now going to spoilers. And I just told Elite that I loved how in this movie that they made Batman a myth. Like every time he saw a dark alley,
Yeah.
like they got scared. What did you think?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I really like the new approach to um the previous Batman films. I like how dark, gritty, disgusting, rainy Gotham is. Batman is not trusted by the cops, not trusted by the streets. No one. I liked a lot about this movie. There's some things I didn't like. I gave it a 9.6, but I'm gonna give it a 9.4. I think final. Um, like Elite said, I like the battering thing. Like there's some little things that I liked in there. We'll go through it little by little. But I really did like the setting. Like you said, how how everybody's scared. The fear
Mhm,
was installed. It's only year two,
mhm.
so I mean, there's a lot they could do with the franchise. Um, I give it a 9.4. What did you give it, Elite? I didn't hear it. I'm
So
scared. Here
I'm
we
not
go.
really good with the whole like giving it a number thing. I said I definitely gave it 2 thumbs up, and I have to say thank you, Anthony. I did go into it totally looking like I was said earlier, without with a very open mind. Like I didn't look at it like any other Batman movie, and I kind of looked at it
Hmm.
as a standalone Batman movie. And I was very, very so Anna, my daughter, and me both went and saw it, and
Oh,
she's getting heavily into comic book movies right now, so we went and saw it, and we both were like, "Wow, this is awesome!" It was amazing. Um, it's funny you say that though, because there was one other Batman movie that had that same like gothically raining all the time, and that was the very first Tim Burton Batman,
yeah.
the Michael Keaton version. And because, as we all know, Tim Burton is everything's dark and black and just kind of too much purple, too much black in that one, in my opinion. And it always was kind of weird. The dude's wearing a black suit with a big yellow logo, just kind of was weird. But
But
it's. I have to say that something that that Brunner said made perfect sense was I think it was all about film location in this movie because they filmed this in Europe, in England, and in Scotland, and so they had like very gothic look to it. And I think that's really what kind of made it work as opposed to filming it in Chicago or Pittsburgh or, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's what made it work. And the rain was a little annoying at times. It was a little bit of too much rain, but it makes sense. I think that who was the director you said, Bruno? Did you say David Fincher?
Matt
Matt
Reeves.
Reeves.
Oh, Matt Reeves.
Matt
Okay.
Reeves.
Oh, he was doing it like Fincher's movie 7.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
um, I get the interpretation of it is that Batman's trying to cleanse the city. And so it's kind of like the rain is trying to cleanse the dirt away, wash the dirt away from the city. So I thought I think it was a really, really good movie.
One
Yeah,
one
very good
thing I
movie.
did like about this movie too, and we haven't gotten a long time, or maybe never, was like the scale of Batman. Like when he's in a closed environment, like when he goes to the mayor's home, and he's walking in a hallway, and there's a cops and CSI people, and like he's just this dude in a suit, you know what I mean, with like boots, like
Mm.
walking, and like, you know what I mean. It's very like it's finally realistic. Like this dude's very out of place, you know what I mean. This is a crime scene, and everybody's giving Gordon. They're like, "You're letting this guy in," you know what I mean? And I like what he says. He's like, because of course it takes place around Halloween, and he's like, "Today must be, your favorite day," or something like that.
And I thought that was awesome is that cuz so they paid homage to a ton of the comic books. So this is based off a Hush, but they also paid homage to Court of Owls, which I think is where they're going to. But they also had the Halloween, which is the Long Halloween, which was the introduction of the Joker, is in the Long
Yeah.
Halloween. So it's kind of funny is they paid like all these little homages, and when I look back on it, I'm like, I thought they did a great job in casting of well, soon to be Commissioner Gordon. I don't know if he was Captain Gordon, whatever he is now, James
No, he's
Gordon.
Detective Gordon. Yeah, he's
And
Detective Gordon.
so they did a great job with that role of that person. I think they did a great job with the Batman. I thought they did a good job. The thing I didn't see like was like there. I was looking for like there's people that were grossly missed. Like I feel like we need to have more Alfred. I feel like we need to
Agreed.
have more of you know. I don't ever really remember. I guess we're in that mayoral race, so there really wasn't a mayor, and it was like, but
The
those
mayor
are
died. No, the mayor was the first person to
yeah,
die.
but he was like, but in the Court of Owls, he was like one of the head people, and it's like, but he died. That was kind of it kept me thinking in the beginning, like, oh, they're going down the Court of Owls way. You know what I'm saying? Because like when he walked into 44 Below, and he kind of saw all the faces, like, oh, that's the DA, that's this, da 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 da. You know what I'm saying? And so all the and But I thought it was
we keep bringing up Joker, but I feel like the Joker was a little rushed. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
we just got our, like we're getting settled into this and we like it, and then you're gonna like hit us with Joker, and then it was confirmed by Matt Reeves
Mhm.
that Batman has already put him away. He's and then that he was going that there's a deleted scene. I think that's gonna pop up on the Blu-ray, but of him going to the Joker like Clarice
And asking
does
for
with
advice, right?
Hannibal
Yeah.
Lecter, like
Yeah.
asking him like advice for the Riddler.
So it's
Go ahead.
interesting too, as I said to Anna, we were talking about after the movie. I think they did such a good job with the Riddler for the first time ever. I felt like that was somebody on level intellectually as Batman. Like
Mhm,
he was one step ahead of Batman the whole time until the end. You know what I'm saying? Like literally, but you know how like Batman always figures out Joker. He's just gonna like blow shit up. He's just about destruction and chaos. But the Riddler seemed like when he said when all of a sudden it came out when he pulled back that rug and then all of a sudden the 8 spots on the seawall and he started blowing up these trucks and like the
mhm,
Riddler's just like going crazy in his cell at Arkham, and I'm like,
mhm.
dang man, Batman didn't figure that out. He didn't stop
Yeah, I
it.
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
know, saying Batman lost
I
that one.
agree with what
Batman
you
lost that
said.
one.
Was I like you said somebody on like the same intellectual level, and I think it shows when they're looking for the mayor's car, and then Commissioner or Gordon asks him, he's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm looking for a USB spot." It's like thumb drive. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
and,
Yeah.
they figure out.
and I thought it was like,
That was the thing.
I'm sorry, go Anthony.
No, no, no. I was just gonna say something back to the Joker thing, dude. DC, DC loves to keep this PG, but suck off Joker, man. They always got to put Joker in somehow. You know, the Justice League end credit scene, all the Batman Arkham games have Joker in them. What else? What else?
Well, I mean,
Cameos and
Yeah,
Titans.
Joker's
he's
marketable.
literally probably the biggest supervillain in their franchise. So it's like, and I've always said that like that was going back to the Dark Knight. Actually, it was Batman Begins. I always thought that was one of the best things ever. Is that they didn't have the Joker. That was the first time you ever saw the Scarecrow in a live action movie. And I always like Scarecrow to me is like one of the scariest supervillains that Batman ever had to deal with because it was just like the dude just gets in your mind. You know what I'm saying? He gets in what's your biggest fear. And so I always thought that was kind of cool. And I'm interested to see like how it's going to evolve. We already know what Penguin is. So the Penguin's going to take over. Okay, so we know the Penguin's there. We know the Joker's there. We know the Riddler's there. Okay, and it's not some clown running around with a question mark on a green suit saying, "Riddle me this, Batman." You know, I mean, literally, the guy seems like he's a smart cookie. And are we going to see anybody else? Are we going to see a Scarecrow? Or are we going to see, maybe I don't want to see Bane again. I thought Bane was a hard one to kind of redo anyway. But there's
Mhm.
some other cool Man Bat. There's a couple other cool villains that.
Yeah, perfect segue, Lee, because I was just about to ask, who would you want to see in the second or third movie? And let me throw out a name to get us started. Mad Hatter.
Yeah,
Maybe we could get to Mad Hatter. Yeah.
I want to
there's
see a
there
Mad Hatter in a
there's
Batman movie.
there's actually two people I would like to see that were in the Batman universe. Well, three. Mad Hatter. I would like to see the ventriloquist, and I would like to see um, Man Bat. Now, there was interesting, if you go back to this, something that was super interesting, and this is kind of where I got a question mark because I watched something on YouTube after the fact. I mean, I literally stayed away from everything until I saw the movie.
Let's see.
Go back and look at the cards. Spoiler alert, go back and look at the cards. Every one of the cards, the person on the front represents a supervillain in the Batman universe, including the Mad Hatter, including the Owlman, and there's a whole bunch of them that are in there, and I thought that was kind of interesting. So I honestly think they could go almost anywhere. And who's to say it has to be like if you ever like watch the TV show or you ever watch like the comic books, it's not like watch the comic books, read the comic books. It's never like one character throughout the whole book. Like, it's a universe. Who's to say there's not like a mass exodus breakout, and now all of a sudden he has to recapture 5 supervillains? Why can't you have like almost like, an Unjustice League breakout, and you have 5 or 6 supervillains that he has to capture, and then, I mean, hey, I'm not telling these guys how to make the movie, but then maybe he has to reach over to Metropolis and get help from somebody from Metropolis, or maybe go over to Central City and get somebody.
Okay, yeah. To go to Bruner's question, all right. Here's mine three. Ready? It's gonna blow you away. It's gonna
I'm
be
ready.
Hugo Strange, Brunner. Shout out
Okay.
Brunner. Hugo Strange. I'd love to see. They could do a lot with that one alone.
Yep.
Black Mask,
Yeah,
with
okay.
everything with the mob, they could definitely do it, something like that. And I would like to see a good Batman versus Deathstroke movie.
That
That'd
would
be
be.
great.
And speaking of Black Mask, Red Hood.
Mhm.
They've never
Yeah, you
really.
had to bring in Robin, and then that's Joker. That's you would have to bring in Joker if
Yeah,
you want Red Hood.
that's what too.
But
Do you think? I think I'm like, well, ugh. Do you think they could bring in Robin? But I don't think so because he's still like figuring it
you
out.
know,
You
Well,
know.
Josh was saying that boy that we were seeing, that the mayor's son that we kept seeing throughout the movie
that's
would be
Robin.
Robin. I could see that. Talk about a shit week, by the way, for that kid. He saw his dad get murdered, and then this funeral, some car drove in, and then the mayor's election, he's there for the flood. Man, talk about a
Dude, he's
shitty week
the
for that
kid's
kid.
like got shit everywhere. His mayor gets shot. That kid just had a rough fucking week, man. Rough week.
Rough
And then
one, dude. Hard
everywhere,
one.
every time he turns around, there's this big motherfucker dressed up as a bat looking at him. You know what I'm saying?
Always,
What the
dude.
hell? So I agree with you. I think it's interesting is that kind of that's something that like really upset me. That's the biggest upset that I had at the end of Batman Rises, and they introduced Robin. Do you remember when they introduced Robin?
Yeah, I remember that. John Grant Levitt.
Yeah, they they never did anything with it. And I'm like, still to this day, super
It's Christopher
disappointed.
Nolan. Yeah.
Super disappointed by that. And I really would love to see. I don't know why they stay away from it. Maybe because it's the man boy thing, kind of living together. Da, da, da. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But like, it's to me, it's like I would love to see a Batman Robin origin story that kind of, because it was such an important part of Batman. Because I think it's what happened is with Batman, and you could even kind of evolve down into it, bring in Barbara Gordon, and then turn her into the Oracle, et cetera, so forth. And I think you really, really could go far with it, and no one's ever done it. They always seem like you could bring up a great point, Bruner. I don't know if I necessarily want to see the Joker again. Once you see Heath
Yeah.
Ledger play the Joker, it's going to be really hard to see anybody else play that role. And the only person I think that could do it is Joaquin Phoenix.
Which they should have brought out. But I mean, it kind of gave me a Mark Hamill kind of vibe of this Joker. He looked kind of old, like wrinkled. Me personally wouldn't want to see another Joker. That's probably the route they will go. I would like to see a good Harvey Dent build up, like
A
maybe
good
not the first
Two-Face.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Two-Face
yeah.
is good.
What were we gonna say, Bruno? Go ahead.
Well, I believe it is rumored now that the next villain for the second one it would be Mr. Freeze.
Okay. I could see
Yeah,
that.
that would be cool. Yeah, around Christmas time, I would see that. That would be a good movie.
Yeah,
This one was on
around
Halloween,
Christmas.
Christmas. If they did
Mm.
one every holiday, I wouldn't even mind. Like,
Yeah,
Another
and I would
person.
love to see. Well, I was gonna say I'd love to see, like maybe they'll write him so that we sympathize him because the whole origin story of him is that this wife has disease, and as of right now, there's no medical science to cure it. So he freezes her
Right.
to like help preserve her.
And I think another one that might be kind of cool too is they did crappy with it back in the day, but then you'd have to really work Catwoman into it too. I don't know if she's part of the whole deal. It'd be interesting to see a Poison Ivy. A
I
good
think they
Poison
should redo
Ivy.
her. I think they should redo her. I think she
And
deserves another redo. Yeah.
but I don't want to see whatever happens. I don't really necessarily want to see another Joker. I don't want to see another Harley Quinn. I don't want to see the things that are already done. And it's I don't know. I know they're going to do Joker because we already seen him. I just don't know to what extent are they going to do him. But I think Harvey Dent would be really kind of cool. I think Harvey Dent. Another thing is they really should do too is I really think they should go back in time and do more with the story part of Vicky Vale and how that was. I
The-
know they kind of touched on to it in the very first Batman with Michael Keaton, and I think that's who Maggie Gyllenhaal was supposed to kind of be portraying, even though they gave her a different name. But that was the true love interest until other than the Catwoman of Bruce Wayne. So it's like it's there's a lot of like holes. I just feel like, but it all depends on what route they want to go.
Oh yeah, no yeah, and they could go any route at this point. They set it up perfect where it's year two. The Gotham's Gotham PD's corrupted still. Commissioner Gordon's not established yet. The fear is there in the streets though, guys.
It
So
is
it's not
there.
like no one takes him seriously. Um, I want to ask you boys something. I'm gonna ask you about a few things. I want to hear your opinions about it. Okay. We'll go one by one. We'll go Bruner the first one. So these are the controversial topics from the movies. Not controversial and good things. And we'll hear about your guys' opinions. Okay. So the first one is Alfred and Bruce's relationship throughout the movie. Bruner.
Yes. So last episode, me and Anthony talked about this when we touched on it. Is like it's weird. Batman's like, "Oh, you're not my dad." Blah blah. Alfred wakes up from a coma, and he's like, "You lied to me." And it's very weird. And I told Anthony last episode, I'm like, historically, Bruce and Alfred are very tight. You know what I mean? They're very close. And then year two, when they're like still arguing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not built. No relationships there. How do you feel about that, Elite?
I feel it's kind of very disrespectful to the history of the two. I mean, so like it was kind of interesting. The Riddler says, "You don't know what it's like to be an orphan. You lived up on a mansion on a hill. You don't 30 people to a room. That's an orphan. Rat waking up screaming because a rat's biting your hands. That's an orphan." And the person that kept him out of that was Alfred. And so I think that it's kind of a misconnect of I couldn't see Bruce Wayne. I couldn't see Bruce Wayne from what I know of Bruce Wayne, my Bruce Wayne, not having anything but love and endearment for Alfred.
Exactly. Yeah. That's how I pictured it too. So that was
Mhm.
I guess one of the things I didn't like. So we'll put that for both of us. We'll go to a positive one. Me personally, everyone on my Instagram knows that I love this, but the soundtrack, heavily inspired by the Tim Burton movies. You could hear it throughout the songs. How do you guys feel? We'll go Elite first this time.
I thought it was good. I kind of wanted to look up who that song, who plays that song they kept playing. I thought it was kind of cool. Like the beginning, at the end of the movie, they played this one like kind of band. I don't know. It kind of almost sounded like a grunge band out of Seattle. I thought
Oh,
it was.
That's
Nirvana.
Nervado, right?
It was
Yeah,
it okay.
Nervado.
That's
Shout
what I
out.
thought. It sounded like, and I was
Yeah.
like, that's exactly what I thought
Unforgettable.
it sounded like. I was like, oh, it's pretty cool. I like the soundtrack a lot, and I thought they did a great job with the soundtrack of like even the whole soundtrack of like when scenes were rising, like the music
Yeah,
just kind of going with it. And
the
I don't know about the
suspense.
movie
Yeah,
theater you saw it in. Like I saw it like in super ultra loud craziness. There were
yeah, that's
scenes
true. Yeah.
literally in there that like jumped me out of the seat because they just came on like boom, like super loud all of a sudden, and I was like, whoa! It was yeah, it was awesome. Soundtrack was amazing.
It was good, Bruner.
Yeah. So Michael Giacchino, who did the soundtrack, amazing job. And it kind of tied in with uh interesting fun fact, what's it called? I don't know, photographer, the digital photographer, whatever it's called. Um I'll put the official name on screen, but the guy who did Rogue One did this Batman as well. And you kind of get that, like the similarities when Rogue One,
Cinematographer.
when Vader comes in, to the room full of the rebels and the lightsaber ignites, and then you get that when Batman starts walking out of the alley,
He
and
does
then
that a lot.
if
Yeah, with the
yeah, yeah, and then if you notice,
A lot of alleys in that
yeah,
town.
or if you listen to the soundtrack during the Penguin chase, it's the Batman theme, and then there's like timpanis going like do 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 do, and then it continues do 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 do, and then the
yeah.
Batman theme continues.
I
So
recommend you guys
yeah,
listen to
very
the
good.
whole soundtrack. Yeah,
It was a good
it's really
soundtrack.
good. Yeah. Um, Real quick, this is the last one. This one can go 50-50, so that's why I saved it for last. I don't know if this is new. I don't know if they've done this before. Really interesting. Bruce Wayne's mom was named Arkham. Martha
We were
Arkham.
just talking about
We
that.
just talked about that. I
Yeah.
never heard that in a movie ever. I never heard that referenced ever, and I've read a lot of the comics. But actually, Brunner found in one of the comics she did have
Yeah,
a name.
Earth One comic. Yeah,
She had a name of
and then
Arkham,
Elite. I didn't know this. Fun fact: Elite told me this earlier. He said her name is Kane because Bob Kane's wife is named Martha, so it's Martha Kane.
which is Bob Kane is the creator. Bill Finger and
Yeah.
Bob Kane created Batman, and so that's why he had Kane. And it's I'm not 100% it's Martha Kane, but I know that that's why she had Kane. I'm pretty sure it
What's
was
that?
Martha Kane.
I looked it up. It says Earth One. Martha's main name was Arkham instead of Kane in this alternate continuity.
But it was
So
the coolest thing about now one thing I did say that was interesting is that I saw one complaint as people are saying on YouTube was how did he get the tech? Like how he had that lens that he put on his eye, the camera. They never explained where he gets the tech. And then Catwoman like takes it off. Remember that one scene where she takes it off, but all of a sudden it
Yeah.
looks like she threw it down a sink. But then all of a sudden she needed to get a hold of him later, and she had another one. They're just readily available apparently around in Gotham. They just go over to the liquor store or something to buy one. But so people were
Oh
a
yeah,
little
I
bit
didn't
I
like
see
think that
the,
was
kind
a
of.
real movie
but
mistake. Yeah, I think
it's
that was
a
a real
man
movie
dressed in the
mistake.
bat suit. I mean, like, are you seriously going to really poke holes? You know what I mean?
And it was,
I think
and it
yeah, I think
was.
it was a real movie
I
mistake
mean,
for
I don't
sure.
really care. To me, it made for a great story. It was just kind of interesting because he is kind of like anti Wayne Enterprises. Like he didn't want to meet with
He
the,
is.
so he doesn't have like that R&D department like he had with Lucius making everything he needed. And like
Yeah, I
the
agree.
coolest thing I thought was cool is because the suit looks super homemade, and the Batmobile looks super homemade. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Yeah.
he's doing this all on his own, like going out and buying the parts. Hey, I'm going to go get me a Dodge Challenger or whatever the hey it was and modify it to do this, that, and the next thing. And then same with the suit and like his motorcycle, the Bat bike, whatever you want to call it, just looked like an ordinary Ducati. It just
Mhm.
looked like a black Ducati. And so I thought it was like pretty cool how, yeah, he's a
Yeah, like
billionaire and he's doing it on its own.
realistic.
Yeah,
Yeah, realistic.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because
Like
maybe he
there's
don't
no
have an
like
R&D department with Lucius. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he has to figure
yeah,
it out all
exactly.
on
Yeah.
his own.
And it
You
makes him
know?
more look more smart. I think this Bruce Wayne. It looks like this Bruce Wayne's been in because there was I did
Yeah,
read it too. I didn't get a glimpse. There was a pre-comic to this explaining this
Yeah.
before. So
he
yeah,
doesn't. He
this,
does need a haircut
this
though.
yeah he does. This Bruce Wayne. If you guys read the pre-comic, any of the listeners, you know that this the car, the Batmobile, was his first car he got when he was a teenager, and he's been building it since. This Bruce
Car's
Wayne's really
awesome.
smart in mechanics and technology. They do explain that there. The eye scene, I do agree with you. She just tosses it, and then like when she needs to get in contact with him, it's like, "Are you there? The fuck? How you know he's there?" Like, and then Bruce Wayne stalking her too. That's kind of weird. I mean, Bruce
Well, it
Wayne's a
was
little
kind of.
weirdo in this movie.
But the cool thing, like Bruner said it earlier, and it's still like I just came back in my head again. I'm like, yeah, that's fucking awesome. Is these villains see the bat signal? Like in the opening scene, the bat signal's up, and the bat signal's not on top of Gotham PD this time. The bat signal's like some abandoned build-up building or whatever, which is kind of cool. So the bat signal's flipped, and these dudes are like doing a drug deal or whatever, or robbing the liquor store or whatever they're doing. And they see it, and they're like, "Oh!" And then they show an alley, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm not walking down there." And they like stay in the light. And I thought that was so cool because it shows you that he's already in the minds of the street villain, And I thought it was so awesome when he like goes to Iceberg or what do they call that? What would they call that? What they
Yeah.
call the
Iceberg Lounge.
the Iceberg Lounge. He knocks on the door. One of the twins opens the door. He's dressed as Batman. He's like, "You know who I am." Like the kid looks at him like
Like,
he closes the door, brings his brother over, and then Batman just kicks the shit out of both of them. And then he comes
that was a
back as
good
Bruce
scene.
Wayne. He uses the same line. You know who I am.
Yeah, Bruce Wayne. Right
That was
away, dude.
funny.
I like that. Those little scenes like that. I made it good. Yeah.
I think it was a good movie. I mean, I'll probably end up
Yeah.
seeing it again. I don't know if I'll go to the movie theater to see it, but I think it's definitely. I think a rewatch through actually might even be a little bit better because I probably will pick up some stuff I missed. But
Mhm. Yeah, and then I watched a breakdown of it, and I didn't notice it, but at the end it was revealed like Riddler's apartment is across the street from the Iceberg Lounge, and then when there's
yeah,
exterior shots of the Iceberg Lounge, you see there's a window light, the lights on in the window, and that's him, that's the Riddler, and he's been watching this, and he's the one who's been taking photos. But I want to say, because I think we should wrap this up. But if you guys noticed at the end, well, in the beginning, Batman says like, "Oh, he's nocturnal," and then he puts on sunglasses because like he avoids the sun. But at the ending of the movie, it's daytime, and then he finally looks up. He's not squinting or anything, meaning he's now adapted.
yeah. I kind of wonder if that's where they're going to go. Is like they're bringing him into the light, and let's see what year 3 brings. Like, is he going to be more that playboy billionaire? Or is he going to be more that kind of living up to? I think what the cool thing is, one of the things I think that with Catwoman is I think he had feelings for Catwoman. Like maybe he made that choice of, am I going to make that left or right? You know what I'm saying? Like remember she turned and he didn't move for like another minute, and then he went to the right,
Mhm.
and I kind of wonder if maybe that humanized him a little bit, and we'll see.
That's true. Yeah.
You know, I'm looking
Could
forward
have.
to it. We'll see. I'm a little disappointed. I looked at it. They're saying it might be out, might not be out until 2027 though. That could be a little bit too long away. They got to figure that out and speed that process up.
Yeah, I think 2022. I think like 2025 would be good for the
Yeah,
next
I think
release.
so too. Like you can't go so far away that you know what I'm saying. Like you should start filming it now and do whatever they
Yeah,
got to do.
exactly. Start having a script now, film it by next year, edit it. You know what I mean?
But highly recommend it.
Mhm. Definitely.
All right,
All right.
guys. Well, I think
Uh,
that's it, right?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, that's it.
real
Thank
quick
you guys for
recap.
watching. Oh,
Yeah,
go ahead.
2 thumbs up for me. 9.4. Bruner gives it
At 9.
a 9. Thank you guys for watching the Batman review. We'll be back next week. Thank you guys always.
Mhm.
Take it
Keep
easy.
See you
clean.
guys in the next one.